All right. Um, Before we get to the Braves, one more note on the Atlanta Falcons. Make sure you guys check out Locked On Falcons. Thanks for making that your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Interesting. We touched on this yesterday. I wanted to expound on it a little bit more with the departure of Dansby Swanson. You know, 2 seasons in a row now, 2 off seasons in a row, the Braves have watched a homegrown talent walk out the door. And while I don't think Dansby's numbers are impossible to replace, and I don't say that as a slight to Dansby, we talked about what was hard to replace for Dansby, obviously, the leadership, what he means to the clubhouse, and everything else. But, there's a big difference between winning and winning titles and becoming a dynasty. Think about this. If you go back and look at the Yankees in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, that won 4 World Series in 5 years, right? Um, they had a core of guys. They absolutely had a strong core of guys. Rivera, Jeter, Pettit, Posada, Bernie Williams, they were all there. Paul O'Neill, those 5, 6 guys were there every single year for all of it. That's how you build a dynasty. The problem is when you have players going in and out, in and out, in and out every year, it's hard to build a dynasty. It's not hard to win. It's not hard to be competitive. It's not hard to make the playoffs. It's not hard to make deep postseason runs. It's hard to continually win a World Series or win a title. Even in the NFL, the Patriots dynasty, although it was Brady and Belichick, there's a lot of other players for the first half of those Super Bowls, for the first three, the Deion Branches, the Teddy Bruschies, the Vincent Wilforks, like those guys were there for all that stuff. Kevin Falks, like they were some of those players were just key parts of the whole thing and they helped make it go. The Braves now are almost headed to what feels like deja vu from the 90s when they had 13 straight division titles and 1 World Series to show for it. Now, the Braves have a lot of guys under contract, and they are all good, above average, serviceable players, and that's putting it modestly. But letting guys like Freddie and Dansby go signals a little bit of an issue. And again, at this point, Max Fried is like good as gone, if you ask me. Max Fried right now, if he has 2 more years like he had this year, doesn't even have to be great. Has 2 more years like he had this year, which were very, very good. That's a $30 million pitcher. The Braves aren't handing out $30 million annually to anybody. They're just not. And especially for a guy at his age who's going to want 6 or 7 years, and the Braves are stuck on 5 still. The Braves don't go above 5 unless it's at the number that they want. That's where they are right now. So in 2 more years, you're going to watch another piece of this walk out the door. And it's going to have to be replaced by somebody else. And while I don't think there's any problem with the Braves still winning games and winning NL East titles and going to the playoffs, how many more World Series you can get out of this? That's the real hard part to figure out. And we talked repeatedly. I talked over the entire summer. How many of those 6 contracts that Alex Anthopoulos has handed out? Acuna, Albies, Riley, Harris, Strider, Olson. Of those 6 contracts, how many of them actually make it through to the end of the contract? If you get to 3, it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle to hand out all those deals and have them work all the way through to the end without a trade, without being cut, without being designated for assignment, without some sort of restructure. If you can even do that, you can't really do that in baseball, but you get the point. So retirement, heck, injury, all those things. If you get 3 of those to see it through to the end, that's pretty amazing, to say the least. But again, you're talking about being able to build a dynasty. Are those 6 guys enough to be able to build a dynasty? Maybe. Maybe. Otherwise, you just have a team like the Dodgers that wins a lot every year but never actually culminates in anything. Even go back to the San Francisco Giants when they won 3 World Series in 5 years. year off. Yeah. Go look at the core of that team. You'll find 5 or 6 players that were there for all of it. Lincecum, you know, Posey. You have key pieces of this thing that were really, really important to them winning. Like I said, the Braves are going to be a good team. They're going to be very talented, and they'll replace Dansby, and it'll be fine. But winning and becoming a dynasty is a different conversation that I'm not sure, the Braves are in that position. And look, Alex Anthopoulos to this point has showed you he's got a number. He sticks with it. He doesn't move off of it, and that's that. There's an argument to be made for that's a really good business philosophy. That's really smart. There's an argument to be made for that. There's also an argument against it when it comes to homegrown talent like Freddie and Dansby, where, yeah, you're willing to bend the rules a little bit for certain players. You have to. And just remember now, this is the second year in a row. The Braves made an offer mid-season to a player who refused it, bet on themselves and said, nope, I'll go to free agency, and never came back. I'm not saying the Braves made bad offers. What I'm saying here is that the Braves made what they felt was fair market value, obviously not what was fair market value. And like I said yesterday, I'll say it again. Dansby didn't chase money at all. He didn't choose money over championships. He didn't choose money over winning. Did not do that at all. The guy chose fair market value. And again, 25, $30 million difference, that's quite the substantial number. Even if he did choose money, no one should be mad at him. Why? Because, well, it's okay to do that. Don't get mad. It's really okay. You know what else you can't get mad at? Built Bar Puffs. Why? They are delicious. And if you haven't tried them yet, you're depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. There's a new flavor out there. It's delicious, indulgent, and covered in chocolate. That's right. It is cookie dough chunk. It's got real chunks of cookie dough in it. Of course, it is delicious and it is healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs, only 160 calories, 15 grams of protein. Run to built.com, snag a box for yourself, stick one in the office drawer, hide them away from the kids. These are great snacks for on the go, in between meals, maybe late at night. You got a sweet tooth, you want something to put in your belly, but don't want to make it something that's totally unhealthy. Cookie dough chunk puffs, it's the best way to go. They are delicious. You're going to love them. Go to built.com. Use the promo code locked on 15 to get 15% off your first order. Again, locked on 15 get you 15% off your first order of cookie dough chunks puff bars from Built.